In the place where the bridge should have begun, there was a huge gaping hole in the road. The bridge had collapsed. Could those monsters have caused this too? Maybe the bridge had been destroyed in the panic as people were trying to leave the town. Seeing as the other end of this highway was blocked for construction, this would have been their only means of escape. "What do we do now?" Maria asked, sounding more amused by the situation than anything. "There's no other way." Discouraged, James hung his head, completely unable to find a way around this new obstacle. His gaze fell on what appeared to be a body lying in the corner of the road. Was it another dead monster? James crept closer to get a better look at and was startled to find yet another human corpse. It was clutching something in its pale hands. Choking back his disgust and crouching next to the body, James pried the object from its cold fingers, taking great care not to touch it any more than he had to. It was a map of Silent Hill. Map in hand, James scurried away from the rotting corpse and back to where Maria was waiting. Unfolding the paper, he found that one point was marked with an X in what appeared to be blood. "That's the bowling alley," Maria remarked, peeking at the map over James's shoulder. "It's right across the street from the gas station we stopped at." "Yeah, but why is it marked? What kind of place is it?" "It's just an ordinary bowling alley. It's not a very popular place, as you'll hardly ever see anyone there." "Well, let's head there then." They would have to turn around and walk back to town anyway if they wanted to find another way to reach the Lakeview Hotel. So it couldn't hurt to stop at the bowling alley along the way. If that person on the other side of the road had risked his life to hold onto this map, maybe it was the key to solving the mystery of the unusual phenomena in this town. Maybe, James secretly thought, finding this map is somehow Mary's way of guiding me. After making their way back into town, the two located the Pete's Bowl-O-Rama, the bowling alley underneath the Bloody Axe. As James opened the door to step inside, Maria abruptly said, "I'll just wait out here. You'll be all right by yourself, won't you, James?" "You changed your mind?" "I hate bowling." "Really? Or are you just scared?" "You don't have to worry. If I come across any monsters in there, I'll be sure to take care of them. I guess if it really is that dangerous inside, I really would prefer to be alone." "Fine by me," Maria said as she casually leaned against the wall. James stepped inside the pitch-black room, letting the door fall shut behind him. It seemed like only one set of lights in the entire building were actually working. An amber glow came from further inside. He could make out the voices of two people chattering in the dim light. "Oh, a robber. Did you kill someone?" "Nah, nothing like that. I'm not that awful of a person." "What? But that's so boring. Did you get chased by the police?" "I don't know anything about cops. I just ran away, 'cause I was scared." "If someone's mad at you, why didn't you just say you're sorry? That always makes things better." "That's no good. No one would ever forgive someone like me." Not only did James recognize both voices, but he easily recognized the face of the younger speaker. It was the girl from earlier. James quickly ran over to where they were sitting, but the girl, probably frightened by the sudden sound of footsteps, ran away and hid in some dark corner of the room. Turning on his flashlight, he scanned up and down the lanes, trying in vain to find her hiding spot. "Eddie," James called to the other person sitting at a table illuminated by a small camping lantern, was Eddie's portly figure. He was munching on a piece of pizza taken from the box that sat on the table. And you are?" he asked through a mouthful of food, regarding James questioningly. "I'm James, remember? We met back at the apartments." "Oh yeah, you're the guy from before." "That girl that just ran away. Who is she?" "You're from the hospital? Trying to catch Laura?" "Not exactly. I just need to ask... Laura, was it? I need to ask Laura something." The light pitter-pattering of footsteps echoed through the space. "Bye-bye!" came Laura's mocking voice. James hurriedly searched with the flashlight's beam, but was unable to find the girl. She must have ran outside. Come on, Eddie, we have to find her. Maybe later. You're not going to go after her? Aren't you her guardian? There's all kinds of monsters running around out there, and you'd rather sit here eating pizza than go make sure she's safe? Her guardian? Me and Laura just met by accident on our way to Silent Hill. It's not like I brought her here or anything. Even then, it's still your responsibility to look after her. Laura will be fine by herself. If I went with her, she'd probably just complain about how I'm getting in her way anyhow. But just forget it. Infuriated by Eddie's careless attitude and tired of this pointless argument, James turned and headed back to the entrance. Eddie didn't seem to find a problem with this, as he simply returned to his leisurely meal. Go ahead and eat your stupid pizza to your heart's content. I hope you get eaten by a monster next, you fat idiot. Maria was waiting outside. Maria, did a little girl run through here? Yeah, she went that way. I tried to chase her, but she got away. Maria pointed to an alley that extended south from Nathan's Avenue and continued past the bowling alley. However, as they followed the alley, the two of them came to a dead end. Again, the path was blocked by a brick wall, and Laura was nowhere in sight. She probably got through here and ran onto Carroll Street. There was a small, cramped gap between two of the buildings, hardly big enough for a child to squeeze through, let alone an adult. Is there another way around? Yep, right that way. Maria motioned to the door directly behind her. It was the back door to one of the buildings, and it looked pretty promising. However, it's not good. We're locked out. Is that so? Maria dug in her skirt pocket and produced a key that fit perfectly in the door's keyhole. What a jerk. Even if Laura would be fine, the idea of Eddie sitting in the empty bowling alley, carelessly and greedily stuffing his face with pizza, still irritated James. He just couldn't understand how someone could act like that. How could he just ignore the fact that a helpless child was wandering the monster-infested streets of a deserted town all alone? Even stranger was how Laura seemed ignorant of the danger, like she couldn't see the monsters. How can she act like there's nothing to be afraid of? I don't think I could do that, even if I tried. Truthfully, he sort of envied Laura in this regard. Envy like an ugly, monstrous dog, with a disease-ridden and painful bite. James had courage, only it was more like recklessness. I really can't stand that kind of weakness. I don't want to go outside. I just want to stay shut up indoors. Being alone really is the best thing. I don't want anyone else to get hurt because of me. Here we are. Heaven's Night. I used to work here a while back, Maria said. From the back door, they had climbed a set of stairs until they arrived at the inside of a bar. Over by the stage sat a row of seats, most likely for the shows presented here. I was a dancer, you know. Now that made perfect sense. James thought and nodded in realization. It certainly explained Maria's hairstyle and showy fashion sense. She probably had big dreams of performing in Hollywood or Broadway in some fancy club. But somehow she ended up here in a tiny little bar on the outskirts of town. She really had no hope of appearing as a classy lady hanging around in a place like this. You're being awfully quiet. Are you imagining me up on that stage dancing right now? Maria laughed teasingly at James's silence. He denied it with a half-hearted and ambiguous reply. The truth was that Maria had guessed absolutely right, but he wasn't thinking about her for the reason she seemed to be implying. It was more painful than that. The thought of this woman who looked exactly like Mary dancing in such indecent clothing and exposed to men's greedy eyes. It was like seeing Mary herself endure public humiliation, almost like the inquisitive eyes of a stranger watching her in her sickbed. In an attempt to escape these gloomy thoughts, James walked over to the front counter. Stepping behind the counter, he searched around on the bottom shelves. As he had hoped, he came across a gun kept for security, an automatic weapon that held 15 rounds. But with his good fortune came a bit of bad luck. There was no extra ammo to be found. James stuck his new weapon in his belt loop and discarded the gun he had used before. For a moment he pondered what to do with the pipe he had went through so much trouble to acquire. He came to the conclusion that it would be best to keep it and rely on it as much as possible for fighting, saving the gun for a dire situation. Well, it doesn't look like the girl is hiding here. I bet she's left at the other side of the building by now, Maria said as she held the front door open, inviting James to follow. The two descended another staircase and re-emerged onto the foggy streets. To the north, the road was blocked by more construction. Where else did the girl have to run off to? Over there! Maria shouted, pointing to the south, where a small figure swiftly slipped into the mist. Alerted by Maria's voice, the shadow darted to the side and hurriedly entered the nearest building. Wasting no time, James and Maria chased after the fleeing child until they reached the door she had retreated to. Marked on a plate above the entrance were the words, Brookhaven Hospital. The door had been left ajar, almost like an invitation to step inside.